I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promise you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you're my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe that you're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe that you're my gravity, that you're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I had to leave. I will let you go. Why do you think that I want? Why do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promise you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you're my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe that you're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to NNSCRA TV's coverage of the first race of the second half of the regular season, longest race of the season, and race number 14 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Tonight it is the Coca-Cola 600 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 100 laps, an endurance race for these drivers here tonight. Should be a good one. Usually this racetrack brings about green flag racing, pit strategy, and sometimes it comes down to fuel strategy at the end of the event. We'll see if that's going to be the case here, as a lot of different drivers now have had the all-star break to be able to evaluate their first 13 races of the season. For a number of them, they're up inside the top 10 in points or have victories, and they're looking to continue on that trend. Others are just outside of that top 10, so they're looking for a win to get into a wild card spot or point their way up into the top 10 for a guaranteed playoff position. And then there's other drivers that they just want to get out of the cellar of the point standings. Some drivers have made some strides for that in the last couple of weeks, but still 13 races, anything can happen. A lot of interesting tracks coming up, and we kick things off here tonight at this D-shape mile-and-a-half speedway. What an evening it was yesterday for one Jack Mitchell, former Duracell Cup Series winner, a former playoff contender, a non-charter driver this season, and making his first start of the season. He attempted to qualify in the 500. He attempted to qualify at a track he's previously won at Darlington. Came up short in both those occasions, but managed to qualify here for this Coke 600. Not only that, he advanced into the Fast 10, and then put down the fastest lap to start from the pole position here tonight. Now, Jack Mitchell has some previous laps here as well over the rest of these Duracell Cup Series drivers this weekend, because literally just a couple of hours ago, he was on track for 60 laps in the Duracell Light Series race. He brought it home in the 11th position, but that added track time could be beneficial to the single car entry out of JM01 Motorsports here tonight. It'll be an all Chevy front row, as he'll be alongside of Austin LaPlante. Now, Austin comes into this race 5th in the overall point standings. Right now, he is in a very good position to advance into the playoffs via top 10 in the points, but you bet that he wants to be able to break what's been a pretty long winless streak for that driver and find victory lane, all but maybe solidifying himself in the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, we mentioned this during qualifying last night. At the beginning of each one of these Duracell races here for these next 13 races leading up to the playoffs, we're going to show you this graphic. This is what the playoffs look like coming into this race. Top 10 in the point standings and 6 wildcard positions for drivers that have a victory or are high up in points from 11th on down through 30th in the standings. So you've got Hoyt, Evans, Poteet, Turner, LaPlante, Will Goss, Dylan Young, James Qualls, Destin Bolin, and Reese Banks holding on to that critical 10th position in the standings. Right now, those would be the drivers that would be in on points. You've got 4 winners in there, with Hoyt with 2 wins, Poteet, Gus, and Dylan Young 1 win apiece. Then you go to the wild card spots. Matthew Rodriguez, 2 wins on the season, currently sitting 18th in points. He's not in the field here tonight, so that could make things very interesting heading into next week's race as far as what the playoff grid looks like. But he right now has the number 1 seed for the wild card drivers. Levi McIntyre, 11th in points, Caleb Fogler, 14th in points, Zachary Fitzwater, 16th in points, and Kyler Sustre, 28th in points. They would have the 2, 3, 4, and 5 seed of the wildcard drivers. And since there is not a 6th former winner currently in the 11th through 30th bracket, that would then fall the final wildcard spot to the highest driver in the point standings outside of the top 10 that does not have a win. Right now, that would be Reggie Fogelman, who is 12th in the overall point standings. That's the drivers right now that would be in the playoffs before the green flag even drops here tonight. That could completely change by the time we take the checkered flag here this evening, and of course I think it's going to look entirely different once we end up getting the checkered flag in the regular season finale 13 weeks from now at the Auto Club Speedway. But it's time to go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports. Let's get ready for a 100-lap main event feature here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Just like when we talked about the transporter. At the end of pit road, the last pit box is a timing line. So the last white line on pit exit is the line. 6 thumbs up, my friend. Have a good time.
Field rolls off of pit lane. Your starting lineup on the right side of your screen. 42 drivers set to take the green flag here tonight. Our Duracell Ultra Light Series race was during the late afternoon twilight portion of the day. Track will have had a lot more grip in it with the cooler temperatures, with nighttime setting in. And pit road, much like it did earlier on this afternoon, I feel is going to play a huge factor into the outcome of this race. Fuel window, not exactly 100% certain what it's going to be. They were able to go about almost 25 to 30 laps somewhere in that window earlier today, but that was with cup physics, so I would expect to see these drivers be able to go roughly about 22 to 25 laps on a fuel run, which means they could potentially, if they save enough and we go green from start to finish, make it on 3 stops, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. Jack Mitchell, the non-charter driver, from the pole position, leads us to green, and we are underway. Out of turn 4, Jack Mitchell gonna keep him stacked up double wide for the second position. He'll lead the first lap of the night. Teammates will duke it out for second. Benjamin Miles on the inside. Austin LaPlante on the outside. Neither lane really gaining an inch here. Looks like Miles is able to get the entry speed. LaPlante's able to get the exit speed. Austin will swing around the outside there, entering into 3. He'll take the second spot. Miles will tuck back in 3rd. 4th place side by side. Casey Hoyt was looking on Ryan Butcher. Butcher slams the door. Now crosses over, takes a look for 3rd place on Miles. Battle for the lead. LaPlante to the inside of Jack Mitchell for the top position out of 2. Not able to clear going into 3. Mitchell should have the advantage on that outside line here if he can pinch the 48 down. LaPlante kept his foot in the throttle, though. They stay dead even. And I think LaPlante is going to edge out ahead and get the bonus point for a lap led there. He might clear Mitchell going into 1, and indeed he will. Well, of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway, formerly known as Lowe's Motor Speedway, a rich history of The number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet of Jimmy Johnson going to victory lane numerous times. Austin LaPlante hoping for a little Charlotte magic in his number 48 out of Northeast Motorsports, but Mitchell was able to swing back around, take the lead back. Looking almost 3 wide back here. That's Joshua Osborne sticking his nose down below Casey Hoyt, who almost was to the inside of Benjamin Miles. They settled it back out to double wide through 1 and 2. Talked about drivers, they just need to get things turned around after a struggling first 13 races in this regular season. Osborne would be one of those drivers, 41st in the point standings. He's made 12 of the previous 13 starts. He failed to qualify via owner points into the Mid-Ohio race earlier on this year. Osborne just recently got his first top 10 on the year. Still hasn't scored a top 5, an average finishing position of around 27th in the first 13 races. Some other drivers that we'll be watching here in these final 13 races of the regular season: Nathan Ormond, Kyle Matthews, Zach Rogers, Nick Gunther, who was a 4-time winner last year. All those drivers outside of the top 30 in the point standings. Lauren Chung, who was a playoff contender last year. Matt Haas, who was up inside the, I think it was the top 3 in overall points at the conclusion of last year's regular season. He didn't advance into the playoffs because he didn't have a win, unfortunately. But was super consistent. A lot of drivers struggling here in Season 7 as we're 3 wide. Osborne up on the top, Kyler Sustre in the middle, Mitchell Collins on the bottom. Kyler Sustre recently getting himself back up into the top 30 in the points. 28th in overall standings coming into this one. That's why we saw on the graphic earlier on tonight, he is currently in a wild card position, our former winner from Las Vegas. One thing that Kyler Sustre and this team have been very good at has been qualifying. When they come into races where 1 or 2 non-charter drivers are going to miss out, the Ford team seems to always rise to the occasion and not just put down good lap times, but great lap times. I mean, I think there's been 2 or 3 occasions where Sustre could have been in danger of missing out on the show, and he qualifies up in the Fast 5. Eventually into the Fast 10. Like, this team is on it when it comes to qualifying. And now they're trying to put something together here in terms of finishing results to build off of that victory he had earlier on this season. As a matter of fact, Kyler Sustre, up until this weekend, was the only non-charter driver to have scored a pole. When Jack Mitchell got the pole position for tonight's race, he became the second. Watching the Mazda of Anthony McCrory, and he is on it. Got around Miles for 4th. He just clears LaPlante through 1 and 2 for 3rd place. Anthony McCrory working his way up here through the field. Last time out at Chicagoland, not a good performance for Anthony. Dropped 7 spots in the standings from 12th to 19th. Was a driver that was looking like he was going to potentially make his way up into the top 10 in points with the momentum he had, and hit a brick wall at Chicagoland. Gonna bounce back here tonight as he'll jump to the outside line and try and swing around Ryan Butcher. This 61 looking really good here in the early going, as he moved from 5th up to 2nd in the span of about 3 laps. Now only one driver to beat, and that is Jack Mitchell. Anthony still looking for that first win of his Duracell Cup Series career. Been a long tenure here in the series. Just hasn't gotten that checkered flag. Jack Mitchell continuing to show the way. He has led 11 of the previously completed 12 laps. LaPlante the only other one that led a lap, and that was by about half a car length before eventually Mitchell took the lead back. Drop a little further back here in the field. Reese Banks in the 44, we saw in the playoff graphic earlier. Currently 10th in the point standings. Last driver that would be in via points into the playoffs. Now we mentioned about Jack Mitchell having the benefit of track time. Reese Banks would have the benefit of information because a good friend of his, Stephen Burnside, was in the lights race earlier on today. Burnside actually performed very well in that race, ran top 5 for most of the day. You could bet that he was probably able to give some very valuable information on what to expect with the racetrack here tonight to Reese. Right now Banks running in the 13th position, right behind Jose Mills, just below Zachary Fitzwater. Rob Evans in the 65, another driver like McCrory that's still looking for that first victory. Has been the Duracell Cup Series for multiple seasons. Right now he's back in 19th place. The points gap coming into this weekend. Casey Hoyt 21 points over Rob Evans, 32 over Dylan Poteet, and 36 over Jesse Turner. Right now, out of those 4 drivers I listed, Hoyt is the highest running. Turner's not that far back though. Casey Hoyt is right now in 6th. Jesse Turner currently in 12th. And starting to make his way up towards the top 10 in the U.S. Air Force number 47 Mustang. It's really kind of wadded up here, kind of stacked up. I noticed these drivers almost looked like they were crawling through 3 and 4, but I think that's just because they're not able to get back to the throttle with how things are wadded up in front of them. Top 2 have broken away. And then you've got about 3 or 4 drivers lined up there nose to tail from 3rd back through 6th. And then this side-by-side battle for 7th place going on between a couple of blue ovals. Mitchell Collins and Casey Hoyt give the spot to Collins down the back straightaway. One driver who's got a lot of momentum coming into this week. He's picked up 2 checkered flags in the last 3 weeks. Points paying win at the previous Crown Jewel race, Darlington, and of course a win last week at the Atlanta Super Speedway in the All-Star race, and that is Dylan Poteet. He did not get beneficial qualifying result. He, I believe, started this race from 41st. And let's see if he's made any progress. He's up to 38th right now. Nick Gunther, who started last in this race, just ahead of him in 37th. A lot of big-name drivers mired back here at the tail end of the field. Will Goss up there in the top 10 in points. Jessica Shelton coming off the most previous points-paying win on that fuel strategy victory at Chicagoland. Levi McIntyre, a former winner this season at Pocono. James Qualls, who is 8th in overall points coming into this one. All of them towards the rear end of the field right now. But if the template of the lights race earlier on today is anything to go by, this guy right here, Jack Mitchell, was right at the very tail end of the pack along with some other drivers like Kyle Langland and Cody Smart, and then after the pit stop cycle was completed, they found themselves up inside of the top 15, then eventually the top 10. So it does not mean that they cannot utilize the potential upcoming green flag pit stops to gain track position. Rory's going to go for the lead here. Mano y mano. This might help bring 3rd place on back up to the top 2. Curry trying to get to that left rear quarter panel, not able to get back to the throttle. Got a little tight there off of 4. So he'll tuck back in line behind Jack Mitchell, and we're getting around where I was projecting the possibility of these drivers, their fuel window, around that lap 25 mark, maybe a little bit past it. It was about 29 laps max that drivers in the lights race were able to go earlier on today, but that was with Cup Physics, which they can go a little bit further with Cup Physics than they can with CTS. Anthony having a little bit of difficulty getting around the 0-1. You got to wonder if maybe he might be one of the first ones onto pit road. Try the undercut. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious these drivers are going to have to make at least 3 pit stops in this race. It's just a matter of how you want to split them up. driver on the move back there. I believe he just cracked the top 10. Kyle Matthews in the 09. We mentioned about the former champion. Meyer down 40th in the point standings. Only one top 10 to his credit so far here in Season 7. Kyle Matthews was a winner last year, was a playoff contender. This year, though, real tough sledding in the first 13 races. Trying to bounce back here in the second half of the regular season. Track that he ended up winning at last year that got him into the playoffs was Coke Zero's Super Speedway. Now next week we're going Super Speedway racing again at a track that's very similar configuration, M&M's Super Speedway. It's going to be a Super Speedway doubleheader at different venues for the Lights and Cup drivers. Lights drivers will be at Armory Digital Super Speedway. Couple of Chevrolets here for 5th place. Joshua Osborne on the bottom, Benjamin Miles up on the top. Surprisingly, the only driver out of Northeast Motorsports that has a victory this season is the one that's running the worst in the point standings for them, that being Connor Breton, who took his first career win at Texas. The other Northeast Motorsports cars are all doing relatively well. LaPlante's up in the top 5 in points in 5th. Reggie Fogelman is just outside the top 10 in 12th. And Benjamin Miles, he hit a little bit of a bump in the road last week, or last time out at Chicagoland, dropped 5 spots in the standings. He was 15th, now 20th, but three quarters of the Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets are in the top 20 in points. But the one that's outside the top 30 in points is the one that has the win. McCrory finally makes the pass around Jack Mitchell. He kept trying and finally succeeds. And his Panda Express Mazda now out in clean air just on the eve of green flag pit stops. Looks like these drivers are going to be able to go a little bit further than I had expected. They may go just around the same, if not a little bit further than the Lights drivers were able to go, which is quite surprising. Around this time that we end up seeing drivers ducking onto pit lane in the Lights race. And I don't see anybody, at least up at the front, coming to pit road this time around. So when we showed you the playoff grid, we showed you the drivers in wildcard positions with wins that are inside of the top 30 in points, but outside the top 10 in points. There are 2 drivers we will be following down this home stretch that came into this race at least outside of the top 30 in points. Jessica Shelton, obviously we've documented the rough season that she's had. Picked up that victory at Chicagoland, so now she's trying to get up into the top 30 in points. She is 18 points behind the cut line coming into tonight's event. The other driver, we kind of alluded to him, Connor Breton, 38th in overall points. He is a total of 32 points behind the 30th in the standings cut line coming into this one. Right now, for both of those drivers, they're not exactly running all that great. Connor Breton's in 22nd and Jessica Shelton all the way back in 41st position in that Project Dodge Intrepid. Well, after Anthony got the lead around Jack Mitchell, I kind of feel like this might be the first driver we'll see ducking onto pit lane to begin the cycle green flag pit stops, that being Ryan Butcher. He's been able to hang on to the 3rd position, getting hounded by a bunch of Chevrolets, LaPlante, Miles, and Osborne. But he's got right now about roughly 0.5 of a second between himself and 2nd place. He could make that up with some fresh tires if he's able to pull off the undercut, which he's not going to do because McCrory is going to dive onto pit road first, along with Mitchell, LaPlante, Miles, Osborne, and Matt Haas. That will turn the lead over to the 78 of Ryan Butcher. So green flag pit stop cycles begin. If you didn't tune into our Lights race earlier on today, pit road is a very tight area with pit stalls, so you got to make sure that first off that you hit your marks, don't overshoot your pit stall, and number 2, hopefully come onto pit lane opposite of the driver that has the stall in front of you, so that way you have a clear exit. We saw Sophia Simon lose a top 5 result because of how congested pit road is. Ryan Butcher, Mitchell Collins, Kyler Sustry, Jesse Turner, Mills, Gum, and others on pit road this time. As you've got a number of drivers leaving the pit lane as well. We had a lead change because of the the 78 hitting pit road. Points leader, two-time winner of the season, Casey Hoyt, led that lap and will get a bonus point. Kyle Matthews cycles into second. Zach Rogers, Zachary Fitzwater, a couple of teammates there. They're on to pit lane. Rob Evans, wide entry onto pit road. I think he made the commitment line. But that was risky, and it gained him some spots, though. See how that pans out for him. As I believe Anthony McCurry won the battle off of pit road against Jack Mitchell, and he will more than likely cycle back to the race lead. Mitchell looks like he would be in second. LaPlante, Miles, Osborne, more than likely the top 10, but look at the gap that the 61 and the 01 were able to gain on the 48 of LaPlante and others. And we've had a driver out of the race. Mechanical issue, apparently. Tough break from Matt Haas. Boy, we talked about the fact that he was so good last season, so consistent. Really should have been in the playoffs with how consistent a year he had, but he didn't have the checkered flag to lock him into a playoff spot with the whole win in your in system that we had. We amended that this year. Matt, only one top 10 on the season, and apparently an engine header has taken his Toyota out of this event. Tough break there for Matt Haas. Was the only entry out of the Haas Racing stables with the DNQ of Matthew Rodriguez this weekend. And he will finish the evening out in the 42nd position, so the struggling year continues for the 8 car. Jack Mitchell swings around McCurry, and he will go back to the race lead. Anthony has led 24 laps so far here tonight. Actually, correction, I think our scoring's having an update here. Anthony has led 5 laps so far here tonight. 24 laps led by Jack Mitchell. That was his 25th. 2 laps led by Casey Hoyt, and then 1 lap led apiece by Austin LaPlante and Ryan Butcher. One driver I noticed that really utilized the green flag pit stops to gain track position, Matt McIntyre. Now up in 7th place, running right behind Ryan Butcher. Matt McIntyre coming into this one 34th in points, 10 points behind 30th in the standings. One of a few drivers that failed to qualify for the Mid-Ohio race, so was a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of points. Other drivers included Joshua Osborne and Ryan Brommer. Matt McIntyre looking really good here tonight. He gained a spot in the standings last time out at Chicagoland. Looking to continue the climb in that Michael Norman Motorsports entry. A couple of other drivers that have also picked up some spots here on the green flag pit stop cycle. Carson Gum up into the 9th position, right behind Kyler Sustre, James Qualls, and Chris Dollerton, who were back at the very tail end of the pack. Remember, we saw them back outside of the top 35 before the pit stop cycle. I said that they could utilize the green flag pit stops to pick up track position. They have done just that. Qualls is right now up in the 10th position. And Chris Dollerton currently is in 12th, battling it out with another fellow Mustang. That's Nathan Ormond in the 23. Good run for him. Comes into this one the furthest down in the point standings of all chartered drivers, 42nd in overall standings. And a good run for him so far here tonight. Reggie Fogelman there in the 24. Nice job for him, trying to battle his way into the top 10 here. Side by side with James Qualls, that is for the 10th position. Fogelman coming into this one 12th in overall points. We saw he's currently in the 16th seed, the 6th seed of the wildcard drivers via points. A former winner here in the Duracell Cup Series back in Season 5 when he drove for, was it 4 Racing Motorsports, I think was the team was called. It was the 44 Switch Dodge Charger. It's only, I believe, his second career start, too, if I recall correctly. Looking really good right now. He got the 10th position away from James Qualls. Ormond will move into 11th. Now on the flip side, a driver that was running well before the pit stops and now is mired quite a ways back in traffic. See if I can find him here on the charts of where he's running, so I know where exactly to look at the running order. 16th, Casey Hoyt. Remember, we saw him stay out a couple of laps longer than everybody else, and he has paid the price for it. He was up inside of the top 10 and now finds himself outside of the top 15. Another driver that was running well was Kyle Matthews, and he has fallen back here with his teammate Cole Deaver back to 24th. We see Nick Gunther and Cody Lamas. They've worked their way up into the top 25 here. Gunther 25th, Cody Lamas right now in 26th. Dylan Poteet is now up in 30th. So you've got drivers that were running at the very tail end of the field. They have been able to make up some ground with the green flag pit stops, and there's at least 2 more pit stops yet to make before this race is over. Jury's out on whether they will be under green or not, though the way things are trending looks pretty likely that that could be the case, as we are almost at the halfway point already. Well, Jack Mitchell tried to become the 3rd non-charter driver to pick up a victory here this season. Matthew Rodriguez has already done it twice in the first 2 Crown Jewel races at Daytona and Indianapolis. Kyler Sustre did it at Las Vegas. And I've commented on it time and time again on how the first 13 races of this season have been unpredictable. They have been almost surreal. I mean, we've ended up having a total of 4 rookies go to victory lane. All 4 of our full-time rookies have already gone to victory lane. We've had 3 victories for non-charter drivers. We've had now a Project Dodge Intrepid go to victory lane last time out at Chicagoland, and yeah, why not? Let's continue on the trend here with another non-charter driver making his first start on the season, and Jack Mitchell maybe capping it off with what would be, I believe, his 3rd career win. I'd have to double check on that. Anthony McCurry not letting him get away though, keeping in touch. He's been about anywhere from 4.5 tenths to a full half second off of Jack Mitchell. Might be just logging laps there, trying to save some fuel. In that 2nd position, Benjamin Miles right now in 3rd place. The 4th place battle with Osborne and LaPlante has settled out. They've gotten themselves single filed out, and then Reggie Fogelman right there with them as well. You've got 3 of the Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets up inside of the top 6. Carson Gum right now up in the 7th spot. Carson Gum coming into this one 26th in the point standings, former champion. I mentioned this too, this is the last Crown Jewel race of the season. We run all 4 of the Crown Jewel races pretty early on the schedule. Matthew Rodriguez has already won Daytona and Indianapolis. Dylan Poteet winning at Darlington, and now the Coke 600, the last of those Crown Jewel races for a driver to be able to win. Rodriguez is not in the field, and Poteet is back in the mid-pack area around 30th place. So at least at this point in time, unlikely that we will have a previous Crown Jewel race winner pick up the victory tonight, but kind of like the whole theme was last time out at Chicagoland, don't count your chickens. Which I feel will be the moniker next week as well, with our Super Speedway doubleheader. Lights drivers will be at Armory Digital Super Speedway. And the Cup drivers, they will be at M&M's Super Speedway. Gotta wonder if potentially Casey Hoyt could be a favorite going into that one. Reskin track, but similar configuration to Coke Zero SS. 3 miles in length, high banks. bit abrasive on tires, and not all that easy to be able to tandem with the progressive banking that there is in the corners. Another team that's kind of making their way up here, got to give some credit to Michael Norman Motorsports. They didn't look all that great in qualifying. Mitchell Collins was the only one that was up inside of the top 10 overall. Got a couple of their drivers up here right now in the top 10. Matt McIntyre hanging on to 9th, and Nathan Norman right behind him in the 10th position. The other two drivers are quite a ways back. Michael Norman is back in the 30th position as things are currently scored. And trying to find the 33 of Collins. He is right now 17th. Carson Gum has caught this group, and he'll go to work on Austin LaPlante. Reggie Fogelman has already completed the pass around LaPlante, Osborne, and Miles. And Fogelman has made his way up into the 3rd spot. 24 looking really good here tonight. They must have made a really good adjustment on his Alliance Truck Parts Chevrolet on that last pit stop. And if the fuel projection is correct, based off of when we had that first round of green flag pit stops, we're only about 7 laps out from when they're going to be on pit road again. And I do not believe they would be able to make it the rest of the way. They would have still about 40 laps to go. They would have to make at least one more pit stop before the conclusion. And I believe it was Mitchell and McCurry came to pit road on the same lap, so let's see if they do that again this time, or if they change it up a little bit. Does one try to leapfrog the other? Whatever adjustment they made on the 24, I wouldn't change a thing. Just put 4 tires on him, send him back out there, because he's about to close in on Anthony McCurry. And maybe move up to 2nd place before these pit stops begin. Somebody stopped on the back straightaway there. And it looks like they may have teleported to pit road. Someone was stalled out. The caution's actually out. Someone was stalled out on the back straightaway. Race officials, for safety, having to throw the yellow flag. And that'll be the first caution of the night here, past the halfway point in the Coke 600. Right around when these drivers would have had to make pit stops anyway, but now they'll be able to make the pit stops under caution rather than under green. I'm getting reports it was Dylan Young who was the car stopped on the back stretch. Well, an endurance race, it takes a toll on the drivers, but it will also take a toll on the cars and on the equipment. We've already had a mechanical failure take Matt Haas out of the race tonight, and it looks like Dylan Young could potentially be the next driver, depending on what the diagnosis is. Pit road will be open this time by... Everybody will be all bunched up here, so big opportunity for drivers that were running towards the mid-pack, rear of the field, to have a shot of working their way back up through. I believe you'll see as they pass down pit road, the 2 of Dylan Young sitting in his pit stall. We'll try and get a report on what's going on with the Hooters Ford Mustang. Dylan Young, of course, coming into this one in a current playoff position. Former winner on the season at Phoenix. 7th in overall points. This is not the way he wanted to start off the second half of his regular season, as it's like it's going to be 4 tires all around. Jack Mitchell, with the benefit of that #1 pit box, has an easy exit. Saw Anthony McCurry there get a little stuck behind, I think that was Joshua Osborne, but he is going to win the battle off pit road nonetheless, though. Mitchell will come out 2nd, and Reggie Fogelman will be 3rd. So great pit stop there for the Fortnite Squad Racing Team, number 61 crew. And it will be McCurry that will be getting us back underway. Let's go back here now, look via the replay of what happened to bring out this yellow flag. If this had continued to trend green, we would have showed it to you via the NNSCRA split cam. But since the caution came out, we have the opportunity to look here under pacing. Dylan Young was running in the 29th position. Let's see if we see any smoke or something. Oh, yep, right there. right in front of Michael Norman. And unfortunately, it occurred over in the 1 and 2 area there. So that way Dylan Young did not have enough momentum to be able to make it back around to pit road. Came to a stop on the back straightaway. And you're going to see, I believe, here in just a moment, yep, there's your race leader, Jack Mitchell, coming around. And since there was oncoming traffic and no way for the two to be able to get back to pit road safely, race officials throw the yellow, and it will bunch the field back up here for what will be, believe it or not, the first restart of the night. I guess the good news is it doesn't change much in terms of pit strategy. These drivers would have been on pit road within the next 5 laps of that caution flying anyway. And it shakes things up for a lot of the drivers that, when you were looking at the running order, you probably think, well, they're more than likely out of it. Well, not anymore. Everybody's all bunched up, nose to tail, all the way back to the last place running car, which right now is RJ Bishop. Issues for the 48 of Austin LaPlante as he's sitting on pit road. LaPlante was having a great run today, qualified second, and he has not left pit lane yet, so we'll try and get an update or see if we can find some footage via NSRA split cam of what's going on with LaPlante. Dylan Young, they have pushed his machine back behind the wall. An engine header for him as well. Same diagnosis for Matt Haas. So Dylan Young will be credited for 41st, joining Matt Haas back in the garage area, who will be 42nd. And it looks like Austin LaPlante's going to fall at least a lap down, maybe 2. And he's still sitting on pit lane, so not certain what's going on there with the 48. But another driver who was running very well in the point standings, 5th in overall points coming to this one, was looking like he was going to have at least a top 5 run here tonight, if not be in the conversation for the win. And strong performance goes south for him. So Anthony McCurry will line up as the race leader when we go back green. Jack Mitchell, who's led the most laps here tonight, 46 in total. He is in 2nd. Reggie Fogelman will be 3rd. 4th place Joshua Osborne. Matt McIntyre will complete the top 5. Carson Gum is 6th. James Quall 7th. Kyler Sustre will restart in 8th, Jesse Turner 9th, and Ryan Butcher is going to complete the top 10. Go a little bit further back through the field. 11th will be Chris Dollerton, 12th Benjamin Miles, Casey Hoyt 13th, Mitchell Collins 14th, Rob Evans in 15th, Reese Banks runs 16th, Keith Batson 17th, 18th Jose Mills, 19th for Nathan Ormond, and your top 20 is going to be Nick Gunther. 39 drivers make that 40 drivers still scored in this race, 39 on the lead lap. Anthony McCurry trying to get Mazda its first win of Season 7 and first win of his Duracell Cup Series career. Gets us back underway. Officially going to be 42 laps to go. They cannot make it on fuel. One more pit stop remaining for these drivers here tonight. And immediately Jack Mitchell wants to get back out to that race lead. Easily completes the pass around Anthony McCurry. Put that green McDonald Chevrolet Camaro back in the wind. Joshua Osborne looking for 2nd. McCurry going to try and hold him off. Using the top side off of 3 and 4. A lot of drivers trying to take the opportunity here with these fresh tires to make passes before everything starts spreading out. Fogelman trying to get that outside line working with McCurry, trying to swing around Joshua Osborne for what would eventually then be 3rd place. James Qualls moving his way up there to the back bumper of his Joanna Atwood Motorsports teammate. Qualls right now in P5. A lot of movement through the field. Drivers feeling this might be the only restart of the evening. The only opportunity to pick up those spots outside of potentially the final pit stop of the evening being under green flag conditions. McCurry cannot clear Joshua Osborne, and Osborne cannot get himself fully alongside of McCurry. Now, Nice run there through turn 4 for Joshua Osborne. He may have something to clear McCurry for second down here into turn 1. Let's see if he keeps his foot in it. And he will. It's a matter of if your car can keep the momentum off of 4 down the front straightaway as to whether you're going to complete that pass down to turn 1. And Matt McIntyre, he's going to move into third place. McCurry still up there on that outside line. Carson Gumb's going to maybe bypass him for fourth place, and he will. Now McCurry falls back to Reggie Fogelman to battle for the 5th position. Osborne showed the nose there into turn 1 as if he might have thoughts about the race lead. Might have been too shallow an entry for him there. Looks like he had to lift a bit, and that brought Matt McIntyre and Carson Gumb a little bit closer. McIntyre going to show the nose there through the center of 3 and 4. Osborne going to try and pin him down. Carson Gumb tried to jump up to the right rear of Matt McIntyre. He might still be able to get there as Osborne shows the nose to the bottom of Jack Mitchell here for the lead through 1 and 2. Can he stay in the throttle again like he did against Anthony? Not quite going to be able to do it. Tried to stay to the left rear, trying to pull the 0-1 back. He's going to stay down there to the bottom, going through 3 and 4. Shallow entry again might cost him. You see how Mitchell pulls away there, be able to get back to the throttle a lot sooner through the center of 3 and 4. Now Matt McIntyre steps out of line. And he's going to go for second place on Osborne. Might have got those left sides down on the apron a little bit there. Definitely had to breathe the throttle. It's going to cost him. He almost came, I think there was a little contact between him and James Qualls right there on the back straightaway. McIntyre trying to tuck in line. I think Qualls was to his right rear. Keep it together though, and that forced Qualls up the racetrack. Now Reggie Fogelman looking for the 5th spot. Osborne going to try again here on Mitchell as 3 Chevrolet bow ties duking it out for the top spot. Carson Gumb right there in 3rd. Top 7 or 8 all single filed out right now. Now about the top 10 single filed out. Chris Dollerton, right behind Anthony McCurry, has worked his way up into the 8th spot. Kyler Sustre right behind him in 9th, and then a couple of teammates out of Lake Effect Sport. We're having a battle for 10th. Turner over Reese Banks. A driver I saw at the very rear of the field, I believe he is running last of the lead lap cars, is Ryan Brommer. Brommer has been on a tear as of late down the home stretch of the first half of the regular season with tremendous runs at I-69 Speedway, Darlington, and Chicagoland. He gained 12 spots in the States after Chicagoland, 13th in overall points coming into this one. And remember, Ryan Brommer failed to qualify for Mid-Ohio. He has one less start than a lot of the other drivers around him, but not getting the run he was looking for so far this evening at Charlotte. Other drivers back there as well, surprisingly. Destin Bolin, 9th in points coming into this one. Will Goss back there in 38th. Matter of fact, last few weeks I've been praising the performance out of Young Motorsports. Well, team owner Dylan Young out of the race with a mechanical problem. The other 3 entries are running 35th, 37th, and 38th right now. And just an update on Austin LaPlante, he has returned back to the racetrack. He is 1 lap down in the 40th position. You guys will have already seen, hopefully via the split cam, what had happened to him, causing him to be a lap down after a great start in this race. Jack Mitchell's got to be loving what he's seeing out the back of his McDonald's Chevrolet. Osborne finally gets up to 2nd place. James Qualls will follow him into 3rd. So now Joanna Atwood Motorsports will look to run down JM01 Motorsports. Then it's the Ford of Matt McIntyre and the Chevrolet of Carson Gumb. We went back green at the completion of lap 58. So expect to see maybe that final pit stop somewhere in the 12 to 15 laps to go mark. Which then kind of begs the question, do you take the opportunity to put on tires? Because I think you would have to at least take a can of fuel, if not a can and a half, to make it the rest of the way. So in the amount of time it would take to put in that 1 can of fuel, you could maybe change right sides? Or do you just go with fuel only? Earlier on this afternoon in the lights race, we saw mostly fuel only, but that was because the drivers came to pit road with about 5 laps to go, so there really was no sense of wasting the time putting on tires. Just pop in the gas can for a couple of seconds and then send the driver down and away. Here tonight, entirely different story. Might be some advantage on putting on at least 2 tires with the amount of fuel you would probably have to put in the car to get to the conclusion. Jack Mitchell has company. Joshua Osborne is there. James Qualls, Carson Gum, Matt McIntyre. But now the battle looks like it might be between teammates for the 2nd position. Osborne going to keep Qualls behind him. Looks to use that momentum on the high side off of 4 to close back up on Jack Mitchell. Another driver back there sleeping potentially that we haven't talked about. How about Keith Batson? Last year, 2nd half of the regular season, Keith Batson came on strong. Won his way into a playoff position. Keith coming into this one currently 27th in the point standings, just outside of the top 10 in the running order. 12th place right now. Keep an eye on him. Saw Carson Gum up ahead, looking to make a pass. That's for 3rd on James Qualls. Not going to be able to complete that pass there. Has to tuck back in line into 4th place. Boy, after Anthony McCurry got passed for the race lead on that restart, his car has just not seemed to be the same. He's back here in the 8th spot, trying to catch back up to the tail end of this lead group. Big move there. Joshua Osborne keeps trying to complete the pass on Jack Mitchell. Can he do it this time? Well, he kept his foot in the throttle. He might have a shot here going into 3 if he can stay alongside. He's got Carson Gum behind him down the back straightaway. Nope, not going to be able to do it. As we're going to be split 3 wide here for 2nd place with Gum, Osborne, and Qualls. And who lifts in this situation? Looks like it's going to have to be Osborne. So that move for the lead puts him all the way back now to 4th. Kind of reminds me a lot of the 2-mile speedways we go to, like Auto Club in Michigan. If you breathe the throttle just a little bit, that loss of momentum, there's going to be another driver behind you with a big run that's going to be more than willing to capitalize. And that kind of seemed to be the case right there with Joshua Osborne. A bold move, but loss of momentum, and he's back outside of the podium, with Qualls moving into the 2nd spot, Carson Gum into 3rd, and the gap opening up again for Jack Mitchell. Jack Mitchell doing pretty much what Dylan Pote did last week at the Atlanta Superspeedway to pick up that victory. He's controlling where the runs are coming from, keeping them stacked up for the 2nd spot, stalling out momentum of the 2nd place driver, allowing 3rd to get a run, make a move. The more they stay side by side, the more that they are not able to put down the lap times necessary to hang with Jack Mitchell, who's got the clean air on the front of his nose, more downforce, more turnability through the center of the corner. That's why we've been able to see him open up the big gaps that he has. But Qualls, man, forcing his way in there for the race lead. Alongside of Mitchell here down the back straightaway. Can he stay there? Heading into 3, and up Carson Gum gave the 0-1 the draft he needed, the push he needed down the back stretch to stay out in front. Now Carson Gum will look for 2nd place, and I think he'll get it with the run on the top side off of turn 4. Highest Carson Gum has run all night long, currently in the runner-up spot. Let's see what he's got for Jack Mitchell. Carson Gum has a crown jewel victory in the past. That was the Daytona 500. Would love to add another crown jewel event to his resume. About 10 laps away, roughly, from when these drivers will have to start thinking about making that final trip to pit road, and looks like it will be more than likely under green flag conditions. We've only had one caution here tonight, and that was when Dylan Young had an engine failure off turn 2, had to stop on the back straightaway, could not make it back to pit road. Race officials had to throw the yellow flag for safety reasons. It was just past the halfway point of this race. We have been green flag up to, I think it was around lap 52, 53, and then we've been green flag since lap 58. Some great long green flag runs here at Charlotte, leading to what should be a very interesting finish off of pit strategy. So right now you've got about 8 cars, make that 7 cars up in this lead group. Anthony McCurry trying to stay latched on to this group here. Then a big gap back to 9th place battle involving Jesse Turner, Kyler Sustre, Reese Banks, Jose Mills, Keith Batson. These drivers got to get it settled out a little bit here because they want to be at least within striking distance of the lead group, so that way they can utilize potential pit strategy to get up inside of the top 10. But then again, we talk about momentum, and if you've got momentum, you got to take it somewhere, because if you don't, you're going to pay the price for it. So you got to run on somebody for a position. You've got to take it, whether it works out or not. Kind of case in point right there. James Qualls drove it in on Carson Gum for 2nd place. It didn't stick. He'll tuck back into 3rd, but if he hadn't forced the issue there, more than likely his teammate Osborne would have capitalized on Qualls' loss of momentum. Front 3, accordion up again. Carson Gum right there on the back bumper of Jack Mitchell. James Qualls right there in 3rd. Who amongst these top 3 is wanting to maybe play the strategy? I think we've had some pitters. I think we had a couple of drivers on pit road a couple of laps ago. They're showing Connor Breeden, Levi McIntyre, Daniel Voiles, Kyle Matthews, Destin Bolin, and Will Goss have all been on pit road. There's Daniel Voiles leaving pit lane, so here we go. Fuel window is open. The money stop is taking place. None of our front runners appear to have come to pit road yet. Zachary Fitzwater, I'm being told, was just on pit lane a couple of laps ago. Carson Gum's going for the race lead on Mitchell here. Not going to be able to do it. I wondered if maybe he went to the inside trying to battle for the lead and then was going to pull down pit lane. Trying to see if any more of our front runners have come to pit road. Rob Evans has been on pit road in the 65. Still waiting for any of our top 8 here up in this lead group. See if they'll make the dive onto pit road. Here comes Osborne. Reggie Fogelman's coming in. Matt McIntyre and Anthony McCurry. So the 27 of Osborne. Let's see if this undercut is going to maybe end up cycling him out to the race lead. He was the first of the top 4 to dive onto pit road. Now I think you're going to see these 3 on pit lane. They can't give up too many laps. But again, the question is too, you know, what are they doing as far as tire strategy? Are they taking on 2? Are they taking on 4? Here comes Mitchell, Qualls, Carson Gum, Chris Dollerton. Let's follow the 1 car down pit road and let's see what the strategy call is. I don't think anybody stayed out here. If they did, we'll document it here in a moment. I think most everybody else was on pit road here this lap. And let's see what they're doing here on the 0-1. Going for right sides at least. Do they take left sides as well, or do they just go with the right sides and get it full of fuel? Nope, they're going with lefts as well. So they're going with 4 tires with there being about 12 laps remaining. And Qualls is going to get off pit road ahead of the 0-1, but where's the 27? Who came to pit road a little bit earlier. There he is, and he's dealing with some traffic. Actually, I think Fogelman might have gotten out ahead of him. It might be Reggie Fogelman who cycles out to the race lead here as We've got some lap traffic for drivers to deal with as well. Levi McIntyre there, I think, is a lap car. Zachary Fitzwater as well. Gotta wait for everything to cycle around here, but I think you're gonna see the 24 go up to the top of the leaderboard when all is said and done. Got Rob Evans up ahead there. He's, I believe, on the tail end of the lead lap. Will Goss as well. Oh no, these drivers are being scored as... Wait a minute! These drivers are being scored as the leaders. Hold on. They leapfrogged everybody. Kyle Matthews is the race leader right now. These guys were running back mid-pack, but they were some of the first ones on pit road, remember? And they have reaped the benefits of it. Matthews is the leader. Breton is in second. Destin Bolin, I believe, is third. Will Goss in fourth, and Rob Evans in fifth. The top five is completely changed. Fogelman is right now being scored 6th. Levi McIntyre 7th. Then Fitzwater, Osborne, and Qualls. Jack Mitchell, who led a race high 75 laps, is all the way back in 12th place after this cycle. What a call for these front five, as well as Levi McIntyre and Zachary Fitzwater. They're now up inside the top 10. And Kyle Matthews is looking to get S3 Motorsports its second straight victory. Jessica Shelton capped off the first half of the regular season with a fuel strategy call at Chicagoland. Kyle Matthews is looking to do the same here to start off the second half of the regular season at Charlotte. This race isn't over yet. Anything can still happen, as there'll be 8 laps to go this next time by. Destin Bolin looking to the inside for second on Breton. Boy, there's so many drivers right now that really need good runs that are in line to get them up here towards the front. Kyle Matthews, of course, who documented his problems. Oh, he's going to lose the lead, though, to Connor Breton. Breton going to charge around him and go to the point. Yeah, but Matthews coming to this race 40th in points, looking for a good points evening. Might get it here. Connor Breton needs to get back in the top 30 in points for his Texas win to count towards a playoff spot. And with him taking the lead right there, he may be en route to joining Matthew Rodriguez and Casey Hoyt as a 2-time winner. Kyle Matthews losing ground to the 88. Teammates back there duking it out for third. Will Goss, Destin Bolin, a couple of Young Motorsports teammates up inside of the top 10 in points. And Reggie Fogelman right now in the 5th position, as I believe he just made his way around Rob Evans. He's got the freshest tires of anybody up here in this lead pack, but he does not have the track position. Can Connor Breton become the second 2-time rookie winner on the year? So far in the first 13 races, we have had 5 victories by drivers donning rookie stripes. 2 for Casey Hoyt, 1 for Will Goss, 1 for Connor Breton, and 1 for Kyler Sustre. Kyle Matthews, though, tried there through 3 and 4. Couldn't get back to the, I'm sorry, that was over in 1 and 2. Couldn't get back to the throttle. Will Goss going to start reeling him in. And look at them double wide, 3 wide back here in this group for trying to get those spots in the latter half of the top 10. This is a hornet's nest back here. Jack Mitchell, Anthony Curry, Carson Gum all in the middle of this. Rob Evans, who's trying to take the points lead, or cut into the points lead of Casey Hoyt. Casey right now is cycled around a 25th, Rob in 7th, so be a big points gap cut for Rob Evans here tonight. Don't think he's in line to take the points lead at the moment, but could make it single digits between himself and Casey Hoyt heading into M&M Superspeedway next week. Will Goss tried to get second place away from Kyle Matthews, couldn't do it, as Connor Breton sees 3 laps to go. Can Kyle Matthews, Reggie Fogelman, can they get up there to the 88? Make a move here for this win. Right now, Northeast Motorsports, 2 of their cars up inside of the podium. As through 3 and 4, Connor Breton will see 2 fingers up in the flag stand, the indication of 2 laps to go. Well, Breton needed points. That was the big thing that they emphasized here for the second half of this regular season, to get in the top 30 in points. How about a win, though? Was that on the docket? Right now, he is looking like he has this in hand. 3 car lengths over Kyle Matthews, who jumps down to block James Qualls, who had a run there for 3rd on Reggie Fogelman, and I believe completed the pass. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Connor Breton. And the Vitamin Water Chevrolet Camaro out of Northeast Motorsports. Remember, it was 1 season ago. Whoa! Breton had to bail out of the throttle there, and Qualls and Matthews caught him quick. I don't know what happened right there. This isn't over yet. Breton tried to keep them at bay. Qualls with a last-ditch run here through 3 and 4. He's going to try to get to the inside, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. Connor Breton is going to officially win here at Charlotte. I almost gave away the victory before Qualls and Matthews started reeling him in. Remember last year, that 88 car was in the Final 4 to compete for the championship after Jack Dunnard found victory lane at Phoenix and made it into the playoffs. And now the 88 is a 2-time winner here in Season 7. Connor Breton becomes the 2nd rookie to have 2 wins on the year. And I'm pretty sure with that, he has moved himself up into the top 30 in points, and more than likely has moved himself into the 2nd wildcard spot, only to Matthew Rodriguez heading into next week. But a great job for that team, and a lot of drivers, a lot of teams getting the runs they needed here tonight after what have been abysmal first half of the regular season runs. Kyle Matthews and James Qualls are going to complete the podium here tonight. Standing should be official. I saw Casey Hoyt in the 74 there coming down pit road, coming down to receive, I believe it was the white flag, and he's going to finish in 36th as a result on the lead lap. Sounds like a fuel leak. Maybe a fuel leak, a fuel oil line may have come loose. And why is that important? Well, you see Rob Evans finishing in the 5th position. Hoyt's going to officially finish in 36th. That's 31 points difference, and Rob Evans was 21 points behind Casey Hoyt. We're going to have a new points leader going into next week. Evans will be at the top of the point standings once again. But Connor Breton needed points. He was 31 below the cut line, 30th in the standings for his Texas win to count towards a playoff spot for a wild card spot. He will undoubtedly be back up in the top 30 in points, but now with 2 victories. Congratulations to him. Kyle Matthews needed points tonight as well. 2nd place run for him this evening. Led 4 circuits out in front after he came into this race 40th in points. James Qualls going to complete the podium, so he was starting to fall down through the top 10, but he will solidify him in the top 10 again, maybe move up into the top 5. The point stands somewhat close from 5th on down through about 12th, 13th in the overall standings. Reggie Fogelman, great performance for him tonight. Just didn't have the track position after that all cycled out. I think he had the freshest tires of anybody in that lead group, but he'll have to settle for 4th. That might move him up into the top 10 in the standings, though. Rob Evans, as I mentioned, with his 5th place run, he'll be the new points leader going into next week. Matt McIntyre, great points night for him as well, as he continues his climb through the standings. He was 34th in points, so he should be back in the top 30 in the standings after this one. Will Goss, great run for him, bringing it home in 7th. He stays in the top 10 in points. Levi McIntyre was 11th in points, and he finishes the evening out in 8th. He should be back up in the top 10 in points, so that would open up a couple of spots in the wild card race. Carson Gum brings it home in 9th. Anthony McCrory in 10th, and Jack Mitchell, who had the strongest car of the night, led 75 of the 100 laps here this evening. He'll finish in 11th place. Obviously, I think he would have wanted the win, but a great performance overall in his first start of the season for the former playoff contender. Chris Dollarton brings it home in 12th. Destin Boland faded late. to finish in 13th. So too did Joshua Osborne, who fell to 14th, and Jose Mills will complete the top 15. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results, some notables. Reese Banks came in that critical 10th position in points, 22nd. He may be outside of the top 10 in overall points end of next week, so he would currently be out of a playoff spot. Dylan Poteet had all that momentum with the victory a few weeks ago at Darlington, the victory last week in the All-Star race. The qualifying position that he was in, 41st tonight, did not help his efforts. He was able to fight up to 23rd, but not the run that he was looking for. Michael Norman, that car never showed up here tonight. He's heading into next week at M&M Super Speedway, a track that he won at last year. We'll see if he's going to be able to get going again, as there's been a bit of loss of momentum out of the 22 camp. Some other big names finishing down around that area there. Laura Chung down in 27th. Nick Gunther in 28th. Mitchell Collins, who I thought was going to be one of the stronger of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars tonight, back in 29th. Caleb Fogler back there in 30th. Ryan Brommer. This is huge. I mean, I thought that there was a lot of momentum on the side of that 87. He had jumped up to 13th in points after a few weeks ago. He was down around 35th, 36th. Looks like the momentum has stopped here. 31st for him here tonight. Jessica Shelton coming off that victory. The last points paying race at Chicagoland. 34th here tonight. That's not what she needs. She needs to get up in the top 30 in points. Needs points, and not going to get them here this evening. You see there the fuel leak for Casey Hoyt, taking him out of the race late in 36th. Benjamin Miles, not sure what happened with him. We were talking about the Northeast Motorsports cars here tonight. The 48 and the 25 were strong early, and then it was the 88 and the 24 late. Miles finishes 37th, last car on the lead lap, and Austin LaPlante finishes 39th, one lap down. Same for Zachary Fitzmore and Daniel Boyles finishing a lap down for those two drivers. So tough break for those machines. And then mechanical problems also here tonight with the long endurance race, putting Dylan Young and Matt Haas back behind the wall in 41st and 42nd. Dylan Young's engine failure, the only caution that we had here this evening. But Connor Breton, the crazy season continues. That'll be the 6th victory for a rookie this season. We have 3 two-time winners on the season. 2 of them are rookies in Breton and Hoyt, and one of them's a non-charter driver in Matthew Rodriguez. And I think we're going to get ourselves a point shake-up here as well, and the playoff grid you saw pre-race is going to look a lot different pre-race next week when we go super speedway racing in M&M Super Speedway. But thank you all for tuning in to this race here tonight. The final of our Crown Jewel races. Coke 600 goes to Connor Breton. If you enjoyed this race, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the crew today. We showed you your full finish results, and you're now looking at your point standings next week. It is a double-header Super Speedway racing for the Lights and Cup drivers. Lights drivers, they'll be at Army Digital Super Speedway. Cup Series drivers on Sunday, they'll be at M&M's Super Speedway as we continue this crazy season in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. But until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV. Offline racing at its best.